Alright, ladies and gentlemen, what's happening here? We're continuing from the last problem. The position function is the same as in the previous problem, opposite of t squared plus 120t plus 80. And we want to know when this rocket, and again, in your notes I think it accidentally says ball, change it to rocket. When does the rocket return to the ground? Well, if the rocket is on the ground, which is what the position function measures, you know that its height would equal 0. So when we're trying to find out when the rocket is on the ground, what we're really doing is we're finding out when the position function, when this negative opposite of 16t squared plus 120t plus 80 is equal to 0. Alright, so we're trying to solve that equation. Now the first thing I'm going to do, I teach my students standard form should start with a positive number. So we're going to first multiply through by negative 1. That's going to give me 16t squared minus 120t minus 80 is equal to 0. And the next thing I try to teach you in class is look for numbers that make this simpler. Well, I think each one of these is divisible by 8. So let's divide everything through by 8. That's going to give me 2t squared minus 15t minus 10 is equal to 0. Okay? Alright. Now, unfortunately, I don't think this is going to factor. So we're probably going to need to go to the quadratic formula. A is 2, B is negative 15, and C is negative 10. So, T is equal to, T being our variable, T equals the opposite of B, plus or minus the square root of b, quantity squared, minus 4, a is 2, c is negative 10, all divided by 2 times a. So we end up getting t is equal to 15 plus or minus the square root of something all over 4. Okay. Under the radical, opposite of 15, or negative 15 squared is 225. This becomes a plus 80. 225 plus 80 is 305. So we end up with two answers. We end up with 15 plus the square root of 305, and we end up with 15 minus the square root of 305. And of course, this is all over 4. Well, here's the problem. Alright, if I'm trying to give answers to this problem, I don't want these answers, oh my, I'm a popular person, I don't want these answers with radicals in them. So, what I have to do is figure out a way to evaluate this on my calculator and then figure out what answers are going to, be most appropriate. So in my calculator, I put in 15 plus the square root of 305 all over 4. And then I'm going to put in a 15 minus the square root of 305 all over 4. Now, if I plug this into my calculator, I come out with a negative answer. And this can't work. A negative answer for time is not going to make sense. No negatives. Okay? If I plug this into my calculator, I come out with approximately 8.1. If I round it, I come out with approximately 8.1 seconds. Alright? Now, to plug this into your calculator, the way that I usually just do it is I type in 15 plus the square root of 305, I hit enter. Okay, in other words, do the top, I hit enter, and then I hit divided by 4, enter again. Another way to do it is to put grouping symbols around the entire numerator and then divide by 4. Alright, but again, the way I do it on my calculator, I just type in 15 plus the square root of 305, I hit enter, in other words, I get an answer for that part, then I hit divided by 4 and hit enter again, and end up with the answer 8.1. and it's approximate. That's why I have squiggle, squiggle. So it takes about just a little over 8 seconds for the object to return to the ground. Okay.